to our daily teaching devotional that we call Epignosis Online or Epignosis Daily. And quickly, let me just go around and welcome those that are here. So first and foremost, let me say a very good afternoon to you, Sister Angelina, Diva Doc. Thank you. Good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon. And then moving on from there, let me say a lovely good afternoon to you, Sister Chioma. Thank you very much for being here. Woman of God, bless you, bless you, bless you. And let me also say a lovely good afternoon to you, Brother George. Thank you very much for being here. Bless you, bless you, bless you. And also, let me say a lovely, lovely good afternoon to you, Sister Lady Perpetual. Bless you, bless you, bless you for finding the time to being here. Let's now, before we go into this, I'll have to give a disclaimer, a verbal disclaimer of what we are going to do. I want to make it very, very clear that in this teaching segment, I am only giving information. That is the job of a pastor. I bring clarity to subjects which are already established. So it's just me informing you. Therefore, I want to say I am not forcing anybody to accept what I am sharing. If it does not agree with you, that is your personal opinion, and that is fine. Let us just walk in love. Maybe up to now, it's still not clear in your mind. We pray that the Holy Spirit will make it clear. So I am not forcing anybody to accept what I am teaching. And also, I want to make it clear that if you want to accept what I'm teaching, please remember, I am giving you just the bare bones. So please do your research, do your due diligence, and seek legal advice or correct advice apart from what I'm giving, because the topic we are dealing with is very, very vast and very comprehensive. So it is impossible. Time and space will not allow me to go into all the details of it. So I'm just giving you a guide. Besides, we have also said that making money is not the gospel. Jesus did not call us to become Christians to make money. However, because we live in planet Earth and we live among men, as the Bible says, we are in this world as believers, but we are not of the world. And so even though we are born again believers, we live among men, we live among systems that use money. So we are learning this so that we know how to engage the systems of men and money intelligently as outlined within the boundary of the Word of God. So we have said that the gospel is not about making money. However, knowing how to make money as believers, because we're in partnership with Christ, can help us to do what? Forward the gospel. We said that the gospel is free. The gospel is free. Grace is free. But the medium, the channel through which the gospel is spread takes money on planet Earth. Why? Because money on planet Earth is the medium of exchanging goods and services. So I can't go to a supermarket and buy items, and when I get to the till to pay, I start to speak in tongues. Rekoto bobo. They will give me a dirty slap. We also said that when Christians hear about money, there are two extremes. One, we've got those who have demonized money. They say that money is evil. Being rich is evil. Being rich or wealthy or having luxury is carnality, is flesh. Then we've also got those who on the extreme end say that we must be teaching Christians to be millionaires. We must be teaching. And we even hear some people say that God has called them to raise 50 millionaires. None of the two extremes are correct. None. Jesus did not call us to raise millionaires. Neither is money evil. Don't forget, when the disciples brought a coin to Jesus, they asked Jesus this question: should we pay taxes to Caesar or not? And then Jesus said, give me a coin. They brought the coin. Then he asked them, whose image is on the coin? Then they said, Caesar. Then Jesus answered, give unto Caesar what belongs to Caesar. Give unto God what belongs to God. So there must be a balance. So there's nothing wrong with money. Money is neutral, but it depends on the person that has it. Money is neutral, but it depends on the person that has it. Then people quote this Bible verse very wrongly. In the book of First Peter, it says that for the love of money, First Timothy, for the love of money is the root of all evil. So they say, Bible says that the love of money, but they did not read that verse correctly. That verse did not say money is evil. He said the love. You love it more for what it can provide to you than what the gospel has provided. And that's where the danger is. Then Jesus also said, you cannot serve two masters. You cannot serve God. You cannot serve mammon. And people say the word mammon means money. That is not true. The word mammon is from the Greek word mammonas, which means something that occupies first place than Jesus. So he's not saying that you cannot serve God and money. What he's saying is that if you have Jesus, be very careful that in pursuing other things, they don't take the place of Christ. They don't take the place of Christ. So some people will hear this teaching and then they'll just want to now just start going after just the money. And then they put Christ to the second ground. So we must strike it right. That's why we're teaching it to get the balance. So to put everything in context, let us take a couple of Bible verses. Then we shall continue with what we left off with yesterday. So let us remind ourselves on what topic are we dealing with? What topic are we dealing with? Let's get into that topic, and then we shall take a few Bible verses and begin to travel in that regard. So I want you to focus, and I'll advise you, make notes, take screenshots, and make yourself be ready to unlearn to relearn. So this is our topic that we are dealing with. The purpose of money, wealth, and financial stewardship. But what is the purpose of it? In advancing the gospel. That is the idea. So we are not teaching this so that we all will get extra money, which is good to take care of ourselves, but then we neglect what? Advancing the gospel. That is where it goes wrong. Okay, so let's take a few Bible verses to remind ourselves. Look at First Peter chapter number 1. The aim of Genesis to Malachi and Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John to the book of Revelation is one subject. Once you lose sight of that, that is what makes people think that the Bible is about prosperity. Then they use the parable of Jesus about the talents to say that Jesus gives somebody 10 talents and he gives somebody 5 and he gives somebody 2 or 1. So they say the talent is your area of profession. So you must multiply it. Once again, I repeat clearly, the parable of the talent is not about human talent, like having talent to play football, to do commerce, or to play basketball, or to be a musician. They say that is the talent God gave you. That can never be true. That parable is talking about how much attention are you giving to the word. That's what he meant by. In other words, when the word of God is being preached, all of us hear it, like right now. But some will give more attention to it, the 10. Some will give lesser attention, 5. Some will not give any attention, 1. That's what he was talking about. You're not talking about talent like that. Then somebody will say, well, aren't we born with talent? No. I repeat, no. There's nothing like you are born with talent. To say that you are born with a talent is like saying that I am born to become a laborer. Why? Because by the time any of us got here, the different kinds of subjects The different kinds of games, the different kinds of instruments, they were already here. What happened is that when you were born, you were exposed through school to the different kind of subjects. And one of them was you were attracted to it, like playing the guitar, and you enjoyed it. So you played it more. And because you played it more, you became very skillful in it. That is all. That means that you became more skillful because you loved it. But another person also learned guitar, but he didn't give a lot of time to it. That is why that person is not skillful. So there is nothing like you are born with a talent. That statement, I cancel it. There is nothing. There is no subject that you are born with a talent. What kind of Bible teaching is that? I was born. You see, I was from my mother's womb. I was born to be a piano player. Who told you that? You didn't even know that there was piano existing. You only came to planet Earth. You went to school. They taught you music. You saw the piano. You loved it, and then you just started to practice it. So it's just a choice. I repeat, there is nothing like you were born with a talent. So that parable is not about talents. That parable is the attention you give to the gospel. It's the same thing about the parable of the sower. The parable of the sower is a parable to let you know how people respond to the gospel. So the person who, when they preach the gospel to him, he's like the roadside. It fell on roadside and the birds came to take it away. It represents a person who hears the gospel. It goes into one ear and it comes out of the other. They have no time. Like there's some believers, they never read the Bible until Sunday. They never pray until it is prayer meeting. In between that time, they have no time for the Bible. They are like that parable Jesus gave. They have no time for the word. They have no time for prayer. They have no time for personal fellowship. Those ones, things can come in and choke their understanding of the Bible. So the aim of the Bible is a subject, and that is what Paul talks about here. Peter talks about here. The Bible is a different book from all books. It's not about entrepreneurship. It's about salvation by faith. The Bible is the only book that talks about this subject called salvation. 66 books. The moment you use the Bible for any other thing apart from salvation, you are in error. I repeat, the moment you use any Bible verse to mean anything apart from salvation, you are in error. That is the bottom line. That's where the rubber meets the road. If I take a verse out, like there's a popular verse people use, Deuteronomy 8:14. He said, or 18, he says, "For it is God that gives you power to produce wealth." Then we take that verse out of the whole book of Deuteronomy, then we start using it and say, you see, the Bible says God gives us power to produce wealth. But did you read Deuteronomy chapter 1? Do you know the background of Deuteronomy? Do you know that Deuteronomy is a continuation of the book of Genesis? So there's a storyline. Who was he talking to? So somebody say, so are you saying that verse is not about prosperity? Yes, that verse is not about prosperity. You got to read it correctly in the context. Read chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, all the way to chapter 8. Don't stop in chapter 8. Go to chapter 9. Read the whole book of Deuteronomy. Then you get the picture. Besides, Jesus, after resurrection, in Luke 24, said that the writings of Moses, Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy, he said, they are about me, about what I am coming to do to the sin of Adam and the consequence of spiritual death and eternal death. So Deuteronomy is not about prosperity. Deuteronomy was the promise that God made to Israel concerning Canaan. So he was not talking to you. Deuteronomy 8:18 is not talking to you. Deuteronomy 8:40 is not talking to you. He was talking to Israel. And this is a problem I find with many Christians. They just jump into a Bible verse, they take it out. Because your mind is filled with prosperity, then you twist that verse to mean God is about to bless me. So let us look at what Peter wrote here in 1 Peter chapter 1, verse 1. Chapter 1, verse 1. Chapter 1, 1 Peter chapter 1 and verse 9. At the same time, you, the Christians I'm writing to, you receive the result the outcome, the consummation of your faith. What is the outcome? What is the target of me believing in the gospel? Next sentence, the salvation of your souls. Did you see that? Verse number 10. Then he's now going to talk about, he's going to show us that all the things that all the Old Testament spoke about was pointing to one direction, directly or indirectly. The prophets, that he's not talking about the prophets of the Old Testament, who prophesied, look at it, of the grace. So we're talking about this grace we have now, which was intended for you at that time. They searched and inquired earnestly, he repeats the word again, about this salvation. So salvation is the topic of the Old Testament. That means if I go into the Old Testament, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy, Psalms, Proverbs, and I try to use it for anything else apart from it point to salvation, then that is immoral. I'm trying to be naughty with the scriptures. Then look at verse 11. These prophets, so Isaiah, Abraham, all of them, they sought to find out to whom or when this was to come, which the Spirit of Christ working within them. And I said that statement, working within them, is wrong, because none of them of the Old Testament had Jesus in them. That word working within them is referring to the utterances, the words they spoke, the prophecies they gave, the prophecies they gave. That's what they meant by the working within them. Was indicating when he, the Spirit of God, speaking through these people, predicted the sufferings of Christ. What is the sufferings of Christ? Was it the beating? No. The word there is Pasco. Pasco. Pasco is referring to what? His death, his burial, the 3 days and the 3 nights. In fact, I'll add him becoming a man. Him becoming a man is the suffering, because God is too big for him to lower himself to become a man was the suffering. So the sufferings of Christ and the glories that should follow. What's the word glory? The word glory is talking about what? His resurrection, his appearing, his ascension, his sitting down at the right hand of the Father, and him coming to live in the believer. So the glory is what? His final target. This is what the Bible is about. I'm bringing that so that we get perspective as we teach. Look at the way Paul tells us how to get into this thing. How every person who doesn't know Jesus, how do they get into this? Romans chapter 10, verse 8 to 10. But what does this, or what is all these things about the writings of the people of the Old Testament? He said, the word, God's message in Christ. That is their target. So whether it's Jeremiah, whether it's Isaiah, whether it's Ezekiel, whether it's Zephaniah, which is Zechariah, Micah, Nahum, Proverbs, Songs of Solomon, Ecclesiastes, Malachi. He said it is the message of Christ in a coded language. He said, it is near you. That means you have been talking about it, but you didn't know. On your lips and in your heart. That is the word, the message, the basis and object of faith which we preach to you. So what is the sum total of that message? Verse 9. Because if you acknowledge and confess with your lips that Jesus is Lord, and in your heart believe that God raised him from the dead, you will be saved. That is what the prophets have been trying to talk about from Genesis. That this is the only way after Adam's fall for man to get back united with God. And please take note, he did not say only when you believe on Jesus. No, because even witch doctors believe on Jesus as a historical figure. The key clincher is that not only do you believe on Jesus, that God raised him from the dead. That is where the problem is, because anybody can believe that there was a man called Jesus, but they struggle to accept that he was raised from the dead. Why? The resurrection is the proof that sin had been paid for. If Jesus did not rise from the dead, then we are all still in our sin, or the sin of Adam. So he said, God raised him from the dead. Then look at that. You will be saved. Why? Verse number 10. For with the heart, a person believes, and so is justified, declared righteous, acceptable to God, and with the mouth he confesses openly and declares out freely his faith. and confirms his salvation. So we are clear in that area that the gospel is about salvation. But that salvation has to go to men and women. And because it has to go to men and women, there will be travel, there will be lodging, there will be teaching, there will be things. It needs resources. Hence, now we are studying about how to generate extra so that you can be able to support. Because if you don't even have enough for yourself, then when it comes to now to give to support, you struggle to do that. So once that is out of the way, let us go back into our topic that we've been dealing with. We said the reason why a lot of believers are not able to have more than enough for themselves and then even to support the gospel is about this key word we call cash flow. How cash flows? Why? Because cash was made by man. So man is controlling the way cash flows. And man has got a system by which cash will flow to everybody. And that is what is on the top right here. We call it the cash flow square. Every human being on planet Earth is in one of these areas. We said the E here means you are an employee. We said the S here means you are self-employed. We said the B here means you are a business owner. And we said the I means that you are an investor. We said that so long as you are on the E, you are an employee, you are an S, self-employed, you cannot make enough money, cash flow. Why? Because the taxes here are very high. Number two, you are trading your time for money, and you cannot be in two places at the same time. But we said that if you look at history in terms of how cash flows to people, the people that are making a lot of cash flow are the ones that are on the right side. Either they're a business owner or they're an investor. Now, we said a business owner doesn't mean I'm just opening a business. No, we said a true business owner will start the business, but they do not have to be present. If you start a business and you cannot separate yourself from the business, but you have to be there. When they want to buy paint, they have to contact you. When they want to buy sellotape, they have to contact you. When they want to go and get taxi, they have to contact you. You are still tied to the job. You are still tied to the job. So you must design the business in a way that whether you are there, whether you are not there, whether you are well, whether you are not well, it is going on. They will only report to you, and then the money is flowing. Your presence is not required. Unlike the person who is the employee or the self-employed, if they don't go to work, no money is coming. So 99% of all human beings are in the E and the S. The employee and self-employed, they work for money. Whereas those on the right side, the B and the I, money works for them. That's the shift. That's the shift. So long as you are working for money, except with some differences, you can never make enough. I repeat, so long as you are working for money, you will never get enough. Why? Because that side is already against you. That's why I said that this prayer about, demon of poverty and all that is useless. It's totally useless, except in one or two places. The whole thing is that the side you are on, designed among men, is not favorable to you because you can only work for 8 hours a day, except you do 2 jobs, 3 jobs, and the more jobs you do, the tax goes higher and higher and higher and higher. You see that now? So it's not about praying against poverty. It's about knowing to go to the side where you no longer work for money, but now money is working for you. That's the secret. Okay. Then we also said that if you don't know the difference between asset and liability, we said an asset is not buying gold or buying trinkets or buying houses. What is the use of buying those things when it doesn't put money in your pocket? You can buy something, but it's taking money out of your pocket. So anytime people buy things, ask yourself, is it taking money out of my pocket or is putting money in my pocket? That is how a true businessman or investor thinks. Is it putting money in my pocket or is taking money out of my pocket? If it's putting money in your pocket, we say that it's a true asset. If it's taking money out of your pocket or is draining your money, it's a liability. For example, a lot of people, years ago, we used to have, I've changed that now, we used to have Sky decoder. That thing was taking money from us because every month we have to pay like 50 something pounds on Sky until Smart televisions came where with a smart television, you got over more than 100 channels. We kicked out that Sky. We didn't have to pay. But that is a liability. The Sky box is a liability. Because if you don't pay, they'll cancel it. They'll cancel your subscription. So there are some subscriptions, they steal money from you. You don't need it. Why don't you buy a smart television whereby you know, oh, they've got a lot of channels. You don't need it. You can go to YouTube and watch whatever you want to watch. That's one smart way of thinking. So anything that takes money away from you is a liability. Now, it doesn't mean that you might not be able to enjoy something once in a while. Now, okay, right. Then we said also that investment in the real sense is not about the thing. You know, like maybe, oh, should I invest in gold? Should I invest in land? Should I invest in a hairdressing salon? It's not about that. As much as it can bring you money, it is about what you know about hairdressing. It is what you know about gold. It is what you know about property. It is what you know about diamond. That is the difference. See that now? Now, so for today, we want to continue on one asset that we've been talking about. We've moved away from the E and the S. We said that for those people who are employees and self-employed, if you're not ready to start a business yet, then you need to do what? You need to learn new skills where the salary is higher. You need to learn new skills. Look around, and today there are so many new skills that have come that it does not require you to go to university. In fact, let me shock people. Now, there's nobody who likes academics and learning than me. I'm telling you, I love learning. But I've begun to realize that today in this world, that has changed. You know, the degree is not enough. There are many people with degrees, but they are poor like church mouse. My own uncle, may he so rest in peace, he had a double PhD, but he died a poor man. He died he died a total poor man. Why? He could not use his PhD to do anything. So the PhD is good, but that doesn't guarantee you money. In fact, there's not really much difference between somebody that has a master's and a PhD. The only difference with a PhD person is that he can be invited to boards, to sit on board things, and he can also be invited to be an advisor to certain boards or advisory board, etc. And then you are just an authority in the area that you study. But apart from that, there's really not much difference between a PhD holder and a master's holder in today's world. 20 years ago, yes, but now it doesn't mean anything. So I always say that if you're going to get a master's, if you're going to get a PhD, let it be relevant. Don't go and do PhD in history. What are you going to do with that? What are you going to do with PhD? What are you going to do with that? Apart from you going to, I always say that if you want to do a PhD, then you must you want to be a lecturer. That is where you can make some money. So you can become what we call visiting lecturer or visiting professor. So you go from university to university and you lecture and they pay you. You can do the lecture by online, by Teams. You can do that as well. But what I'm saying that if you want to upscale, then think carefully. Think carefully before you enter into that field. There are some courses, they are outdated. And what is happening is that many people are still applying 19th century concepts of making money to 21st century. It's outdated. The old idea is go to school, get good grades, get degrees, and get a job. That one is outdated. Why? Because of the internet. Because of AI. That has changed the game. To the people, I wish I can show you. I wish I can show you a guy. The time will not allow me to. I could have gone to YouTube. Okay, let me show you this guy. Let me show you somebody. Let me show you. Let me see if I can show you somebody. Just watch. I want to show you. Now, please, I'm not knocking education, but I'm going to show you that the playing field has changed, right? The playing field. As much as degrees are important, because to give you the basics, that is just a starting point. Let me see if I can find that guy. I want to show you something. I just want to show you one example of how the landscape has changed. The landscape has changed. Let me hope I can be able to find it and show you just one example before I go into what I am doing for today. If it will allow me to do so. If not, then I'll forget about it. Let me show you one young guy, what he's doing in today's world. Okay, so look on the screen. I hope I'll get his name right. Let me see. Let me see. I don't know if I can. I don't know if I can find him. I've forgotten the first name. Let me see if I can find him. Okay. Not this guy. It's not this guy I'm looking for. I've forgotten his name. Yeah, I forgot his name. This guy was just, I think he's Senegalese, right? I've forgotten his name. Forget it. Let's forget it. But I'll just give you the story. This guy was, he lives in France, and he was just cleaning dishes. And then when the COVID came, right, the job was no longer available. So he just decided just to start TikTok, right? So he just started TikTok, and he didn't go into TikTok to make money. He just decided to go to TikTok, and what he did in his TikTok was that he just started to make jokes with things that we take for granted. Within a short time, this guy got over more than 1 million viewers, and it went on and on and on. And now he became the single most watched person on TikTok. Watch it. After so many years, he sold just recently. He sold his TikTok channel to a company for $960 million. And he's only 20. He's only 20. How old is he even? Brother George.
Yeah, so sorry to interrupt. Yeah, the name is Kabi, Kabe.
Right, let me Kabi, yeah? It's Kabi, yeah. Right?
Kabi Lame.
Oh, please wait, let me get it. I just want to show it to everybody. What I'm trying to show is that today our world has changed in the sense that because of the internet, the leverage to create cash flow is more easier than the old traditional way of just going to school. And once again, I am not knocking school. Don't quote me wrong. I'm just trying to show you that open your eyes. Don't get limited because you don't have. Oh, sorry. What the name is? What? Sorry. Kabi.
Yeah, George put it in the chat. No, KHABY.
KHA. Sorry, KHA.
BY. B for boy.
Okay.
Y.
Yeah.
He put it in the chat.
Yeah. Okay. I think let's hope I get him. There. Then, yeah. There he is. There's the guy. That's him. That's Kabilami. Look at his subscribers. 12.6 million subscribers. What does he do? What does he do? Yeah. Look at him. He just makes joke with obvious things that we miss out, and he became a sensation. And just recently, look at him. Look at this guy. That's him. He just makes fun. And look at that. No any further education. Just camera and him. Just camera. Okay, so let me put in Kabilami sells his
TikTok account.
TikTok account, yeah, is the right word.
It came up, yeah.
It came up, yeah? That's right. Okay. Watch it. I'm just trying to show you. Let's see. Look at the amount.
900 million.
There.
Is it even possible, Pastor? 900 million.
975 million.
Is it possible?
Yeah.
For what?
Just because they found out that his people, he's got high viewership. So the company that is buying it will want to use it, everything of his, including his face, his pictures, so that the brand that they are trying to produce, people will. So if, let's say, my brand is soap like Lux, but I use it. Oh, look at no. His subscription was 164 million. Look at it here. 160.4. That's him. And he's only 20 what? He's only 27. I think he's 27, yes.
Wow.
Look at it. He's the world's biggest TikTok star. And that's what he sold. 900 million. Look at that. Look at it.
What?
And he sold it to Wall Street. I didn't even know that. Wall Street. So the gurus in Wall Street realized that not any white person even could do this. 900 million deal. This guy, that means already before this, the money he was making from his TikTok account already made him rich. Then this one, from his generation, except he doesn't know what he's doing. They are going to make his face, they're going to use, yes, Sister Nia, that's very true. They're going to use his face for AI. They're going to use his antics to promote anything that Wall Street wants. You know, Wall Street is where all the stock market is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Look at the red carpet they gave him. Look at him. Look at him. Look at him. Look at the red carpet.
He actually even seems out of place there. It looks like he doesn't even belong there. Gosh. Wow.
Look at that. Look at that. So all the time, you see, that's what I'm saying, that you don't know who is watching you.
Yes.
You think that thing that you have is not. Somebody somewhere is intrigued by it. Whether it's music, whether it's fun, somebody somewhere. Because so there are some people, they themselves, they are lazy to do things. But when you package it, somebody is ready to pay you top dollar for it. There we are. 900 million. Do you know how much $900 million is? It's going to take him. I mean, he will not finish. His children. Not forgetting the assets that probably he's used his earlier money to do it. That's the point I'm trying to make, that we have no excuse. It's not only a degree. That's the point I'm trying to make.
Yes.
Get the degree, get it. But now the internet and AI is a level playing field for anybody. So let me go and talk about now how we can generate cash flow in Kingdom Wealth Extra. And I'm going for the first asset on the business side. We started yesterday, real estate. Real estate. Americans call it real estate, but the British call it property, right? We started it. So let me I want to stay in the property. Now, if somebody asks me, for me, my favorite asset vehicle upon all asset vehicles for me is property. But you need to know how to do it well. Okay? So the idea is to move away from labor-based income. You are working. Now, don't stop working. Don't hear this and say, I won't work again. No. Keep your job. But now when you are taking notes, begin to now learn slowly to move to own a business. Begin to move slowly so that you don't need to be there. Okay? So we started yesterday is to move away from working for money working for you. That's the idea. Okay? That's the idea. So that's what we are dealing with here. So this is a picture. This is a picture. Look at the left, employee, you have a job. Self-employed, you still own a job. Then you pivot to either become a business owner where you own systems or where money works for you. That is the game changer. You see that? Now, look at this guy we just watched. Now, if he does a video and he records it, right? Do you know that he just goes to sleep? The video will be uploaded and it will be playing whilst he's sleeping. People in America will be watching but he's asleep. People in South Africa will be watching but he's asleep. You see that? And as the more people are watching it, he's getting money from the views that he's getting past a certain amount of viewership. He's not there. He might be even on a plane going somewhere. People are watching it. That is the idea of modern business. You don't need to be there. If you set it up right, you don't need to be there. Everything should pass through you. You still own the job. That is how you must think. So think how you can set up systems without you be. Of course, in the beginning, you need to be there to make sure that everything runs smoothly. But once the thing runs smoothly, you should be able to get to the place where you don't need to be there. Just like if you own a hairdressing salon and every time you have to be there, maybe in the beginning, yes. But if you come step away, then you still own the business. Then that limits you. You see? So now your job will be not only owning one salon, but 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You don't need to be there. They only report to you, right? Well, so the asset class we are talking about is, we said property comes from 2 words. Americans call it real estate. We said the word real is from the Spanish real, which means royal, right? And we said the word royal means that in past, lands and property were owned by kings, right? And then we said today, now it's owned by the government, okay? And then we said that mortgage comes from the French word mortgage. That means a pledge that you make till your death. We said that technically, even though the mortgage is in your name, but technically it does not belong to you. If you understand these 2 words, it does not belong. We said the only way that a mortgage can turn into an asset is if it puts money in your pocket. And we'll come to all that later. If it puts money in your pocket. But so long as I'm paying the mortgage, it's taking money out of my pocket. And like I said, if we think it's wrong, wait until you miss the property tax payment or the land rate payment, you see who come and knock at your door. Don't forget, the land belongs to the government. The land belongs to the state. But if you have a freehold, it's a freehold because the land and the property is accrues to you. However, the fact that you are still paying something is an indirect way for them to tell you that, hey, don't forget, this is for us. Okay, so let's go to that. Yeah, so there are two types of properties. Let's get into this. We said we got residential property and commercial property. I found out that a lot of people have no knowledge about commercial property. We'll come to that. But commercial property is where the money is. In fact, when people see commercial property, they think that, oh, this one there is not possible. Have you ever passed by a shopping mall and they say that that property is for somebody? And when we look at it, we think that, wow, then he must have had a lot of money to buy. No. Because we don't know about it. So we think it's something too big out. So everybody focuses on residential property, which is a start. Okay, so there are the two of them. We'll get into it. But let me move on. Let's just deal with now only residential property, how to generate cash flow. Now let's do this job. Let's do this where we stopped yesterday. How do I turn residential property into a cash machine so that I can get enough and set it up as a system without me being there? Let's take the first one on your left. This is one of my most popular, rent to rent. I think some of you have not even heard it. Now, rent to rent came recently. It's a very recent development in the property. Before rent to rent came, there is something they call buy to let. But buy to let is totally shambles. Our advice, don't go into buy to let. Don't go. If you don't know about it, you will lose a lot of money. Rent to rent is a better option. What is rent to rent? Let me explain rent to rent. Rent to rent, and these things that I'm going to give you, some of them you don't need a lot of money. Okay. Rent to rent is I go to a landlord, but before that, I form a company. Let me say this before I go on. The information is just coming. So let me just slow down. Let me say this, please. If you want to be a business owner, let me say this very important advice. Don't own anything in your name. Hey, that one, I can't stress it too. Don't own anything in your name. Otherwise, when a lawsuit comes, all your money will go. Whether it's your car, whether it's your house, whether it's, do not own it in your name. Form a company and let the company be the shelter for that thing. So you can buy your car through your company. You can buy your house through your company. Why? In case something goes wrong, they are not going to come for the house. They are coming for the company. Why? Because a company is a separate entity. It operates like a human being. Just that it is what? It is just a company. These are the secrets that the rich use. Rich people don't own anything in their name. They don't own. The car is in the company's name. The house is in the company's name. And that even provides you better tax shelter. I'll come to others later. There's a lot still to unpack. But today, if you're going to do any business, I will advise you, I recommend strongly, don't own anything in your name. And if you're going to form a company, don't put your house address as what do they call it? As the business address. Today, there are many companies that can give you, they can allow you to use their business address. You call it virtual address. It is safer so that you don't get any people coming to bailiffs knocking at your door. The reason is that if you put everything under the company name, in case something goes wrong, it is not you that they are taking to court. It's the company they are getting to court. And the worst they can do to the company is liquidate the company and you are still free. Although you might be liable for the money, but your name is not soiled. I didn't know some of these things in the past. Anything you want to do, don't put it in your name. I cannot overemphasize it. Until you can form companies easy. You can go to company's house for £50. You can set up a company, although the process can take long. Or you can do company formation through certain agencies. £25. You form the company with a business bank account. Another thing, do not mix. I did a very big mistake. Do not mix your personal finances with your business finances. Open a business account for your business. And don't ever let your personal money go through that. The moment your personal money goes through the business account and vice versa, the tax man, HMRC, will come after you. So there are some things you got to know. So let's start with rent to rent. So form a company. You can call it Fred's Rent to Rent. You can call it, it doesn't matter, any name. So what is rent to rent? So rent to rent, I form a company first. Then I approach a landlord or I go to an estate agent. Then I say, oh, I've got a company and I do get businessmen who, travel, and when they come, instead of me putting them in a hotel, and I want to just lodge them in a house and things, and other things. And, so do you mind that we strike a deal whereby your house, that you're renting right now, you're struggling to maintain the rent, because when people come and rent it after 6 months, 8 months, residential renting, they go out. But I'm going to rent it as a company let, then I'll give it out. Okay. So if the original rent was like £1,000, right, then you tell them that, okay, because it's going to be a company let, which I'll rent out, right, I'm going to be charging £2,000 as rent. So when they pay the £2,000, I pay the landlord 1,000. Then the 1,000 is my profit. Did you realize that by just doing that, I didn't buy the house? I just made an arrangement with the landlord. And that alone, I'm getting almost free money. Of course, there are processes involved. And it is there. So rent to rent is you rent to rent it out. You are not putting down any mortgage. You are not putting down any kind of lease, nothing. It's just that you are rent to rent. So your calculation will be that you should make sure that the rent that you're going to charge will cover the landlord's rent monthly, right? And then you also will get your profit at the back. And technically, if you look at it, it's like free money. Rent to rent has exploded in the UK in the last 5 to 10 years. The Caucasians, the Asians are into it. Unfortunately, the Nigerians also want it. Unfortunately, Ghanaians are still lagging behind. Far. When they hear it, even they don't want to do it. So let's look at the mechanics. So here you are, you lease property, you guarantee rent, and then you sublet it for profit. So you have to restructure the agreement. You sublet it for profit. Remember, you are not putting in any investment like you do with the normal residential property, where you have to put in maybe 15% of the total price, and the bank will give you 85%, which is loan to value. This one, there's nothing like that. There is no what do you call it? Having to put something down and the deposit. No, it's just a mutual arrangement between you and the landlord. But if you can convince the landlord that it has got its positives, then you go and draft the agreement, and today AI can draft the agreement for you easily without you having to pull your head and going to find somebody, and then have a solicitor look at it who is specialist in this and see that, okay, all the clauses are fine, and then you can go. Now, the advantage of rent to rent is that you can do many rent to rents in different areas all over the UK. You can have rent to rent in London. You can have rent to rent in Birmingham. You can have rent to rent, and you are in London. You don't even need to travel there. Today, there are even websites that can allow you to have a virtual look at the property. But if you want to go and visit the property physically, I recommend that go and see for yourself. You can buy. Today, there are properties and special cameras that can give you a virtual tour of the property to see, okay, it's all right. Now, watch this. Watch the statistics carefully. Look at the bottom here. Look at the cash flow that a person can generate from rent to rent. You can generate a minimum of from anywhere from £500 a month to £2,000 a month. And look at here. Let me bring this word. Many don't know it. ROI. What is ROI? Return on investment. That means if I put any money into it, how much money will I get back after I put a little money? Of course, sometimes in some rent-to-rent businesses, you might need to do a few changes, maybe, but to ask the landlord, like maybe I need to put a new carpet, or I need to put something new, just light touches, so that it will attract, the right customers. And then I always advise, if you're going for rent-to-rent, look for areas that are close to amenities. They always say that location, near to train stations, near to banks, near to high street. And one of the best rent-to-rents that you can get is either you give it to companies or you give it to students. So if there's a university around, that is your cash cow. Because students will come and go all the time. So the return on investment of rent-to-rent is 30 to 100% plus. That is massive. Can you imagine? You didn't put any deposit like the proverbial mortgage. There's no mortgage involved in this one. Rent to rent, there's no mortgage. You are not paying any mortgage. It's just an arrangement between you and the landlord. That means that if you are good at negotiating and you can prove to the landlord, I had a guy, he started this rent to rent and he was scared. And it's normal because maybe you don't know the terrain. So he said, okay, he's going to talk to landlords. Fortunately for him, the first landlord he met was struggling to keep tenants because tenants will come in 3, 4, 5 months, then they are gone. then he's back to zero. So when this guy went to approach a landlord, and then, no, the landlord had other properties, he had about 10, 15 properties. And he didn't know what to do. But this guy went to learn about rent a little bit and approached the landlord. I think he put an advert out on Facebook, and the landlord saw it and said, oh, okay, let's get in touch. He went to the landlord. He went to AI. The AI developed the contract, which is actually like a kind of a pro forma contract, which is not the final. Sat down with the landlord. Then the landlord said, convince me. He said, oh, listen, it's my company. I've got people that travel and come. So, you are guaranteed at least 5 years, 6 years, because this kind of renting is for long term. The landlord said, okay. So he gave him one of his property without telling him that he's got more. After the first month, when the landlord realized that, oh, wow, his rent is guaranteed, then he called him again. He said, okay, I can see that, you are really helping me. That's the point of it. I have got 10 more other properties scattered around London. The man said, He said, can you handle that for me? He said, sure. So now the guy now was having what? Let's say if he had, he gave the rent for 2,000, right? And he gave but the actual rent is 1,000. So he had 1,000 on 10 properties extra. That means he started making £10,000 a month. I mean, these things are mind-boggling. I mean, almost for free. Only minor cosmetics things that you have to do. Somebody say, so does it mean that they'll be calling me in the middle of the night to come and fix a bulb? Come on, what are you talking about? You've got money like that lying around. Well, you can hire people to do it for you. You can hire handymen. You can give it to a management company to do it for you. They'll charge you some fee and your money is going to go, but you are not going to be changing light bulbs. You can have people do that. You can have a pool of ready handymen, electricians, plumbers already. Open a file on your laptop, keep them there. Anytime there's something, you just ring them and let them go and check it out and report back to you. That's all. You're not going to be flushing toilets. You're not going to be cleaning toilets. You can even handle the cleaning to a cleaning company if you want. If you want to be very posh and professional. These are all ways you can do that. But for me, rent to rent is one of the most top draw in terms of extra cash flow. And if you set it up right and it's great, right? Oh, you'll be laughing all the way to the bank. Now, watch. What is only the negative side of it? Of course, you don't own the property. And the only risk will be the landlord. Maybe afterward, the landlord will say that he wants his property back. Okay, so that's why you don't need to stick to one. Once you get one and you know your way inside out, then go for 2, go for 3, go for 4, go for 5. And the good thing is that you don't need to stay only in London. You can go to Portsmouth, you can go to Birmingham, you can go to Swansea and own them. And you are still here in London. That's it. This is how people are making it. This is how people are making it. Now, is it easy peasy? It is. But you need to have some commitment as well. So the first type of, in the area of real estate property is what strategy is called rent to rent. Now, that's why I said that there is nothing like poverty. Poverty is because the person is ignorant of the flows of cash. Right? The next one, lease options. Lease options. It's much more stronger in America than here, because like I said, here the problem is that because it's the state or the monarchy that owns the land, so sometimes there are some things they don't really want to. So what is a lease option? The lease option, and it is there, it's an agreement again with a landlord that you are going to rent the property, but you finally buy it, let's say in 5 years' time. So what they do is that anytime that you pay rent, right, they deduct it from the total cost of it. And you can enter into that agreement with just only £1. The £1 is just to legalize it. And that is it. So it is actually a rent to buy later, a right to buy later. So you have locked it in. Instead of going in with a proverbial, mortgage, you are just paying rent. But you sign an agreement that you have the intention to buy later. And then you can even put in a clause, if you like, if the landlord, if you come across a very good landlord, that do you mind if I sublet it? Don't do it until the landlord says it's fine. If you can prove to the landlord that I can still bring you cash so long as your month rent is covered. But this lease options is the right to buy later. The good thing about it is that it's very low entry cost, and it's one of the flexible exits. in cash flow. The only thing is that the legal complexities, you need to know it a bit. That's why I said that the risk is the person who knows about it. So you are only renting, but with the idea to buy it later. It's not the same as buy to let. No. In buy to let, there's mortgage involved. You have to pay mortgage of 75% of loan to value. This one, there's no mortgage involved. So the rent to rent and the lease options, there's technically no mortgage involved. Sometimes some people say, okay, do you mind putting down a certain amount of money? Then now, from there, maybe they say, okay, put down like 5,000 or put down like 10,000. Then now every month, so the 10,000, let's say the total price of the property is 150,000 pounds. Okay, right. So you say, all right, maybe you've got some money. Okay, I put 10,000, so it's subtracted. So it's left to 140,000. Then anytime you pay rent, it's being subtracted from it until they set a date where you pay the remaining lump sum maybe in 5 or 8 years' time. But the good thing about lease options is that you can opt out. You can opt out of it anytime. You put that in the agreement. If you realize that after 2 years you don't want it anymore, that's it. The agreement ends there. You walk out free. There's no bind. There's no mortgage to pay. Okay, so that's the second one. Let me take the last one. We shall continue tomorrow. This one also is my favorite, but there's still a lot of job to do. And I think all of you have heard about it. Airbnb, or what we call the service accommodation. As for Airbnb, I'm telling you, the people are making money from it, from Ghana to Senegal to Ivory Coast to anywhere in the world. Now, let me give you a little bit history about Airbnb, where it actually started. It started by two friends in America, and they were stranded, when they were traveling from one state to another. Okay, and they couldn't find a hotel, they couldn't find anywhere, and eventually they came across a certain woman, and they said, look, we are stranded, we have nowhere to sleep. The woman said, okay, I have only one room, but that room has got an air bed. Do you all know what an air bed is? Do you know, does anybody knows what an air bed is? Do you know what an air bed? An air bed is a mattress, but you fill it with air. Just like we got what you call water mattress. A water mattress is a mattress that you fill it with water and you sleep on. So the woman had an air bed, inflated it, and then they slept. Then they woke up refreshed. They continued their journey. So when they got home, then one of the friends told her that, wait. Can't we turn this into a business? I mean, if that woman just gave us that room just to sleep overnight, why don't we also tell other people that if they've got rooms that they want to rent out for people that are traveling, we set up a platform, right? And then anybody who's got a house, right, and you want to make extra cash, you want to give 1 room, 2 rooms, 1 house, okay, then they come through this platform and then they do what? They rent it out. That is how Airbnb started. Airbnb doesn't own any property. It just set up a platform, a website, whereby you don't have the time to go out to go and tell people, I've got my property here. If you want to rent it as a student just for a few days, or you're on holiday, then they made a platform where all such properties will go through it. And so people are traveling, and then what you go, you book it, and then what you go, and then you pay. And then that one, of course, the money is taken at source. Airbnb is very, very, very lucrative, although sometimes, look, like everything, there is pros and cons. Sometimes there are high seasons, sometimes there are low seasons. But however, a certain friend of ours, they were struggling with finances and they heard about Airbnb. So they had their property, right? Their house was a big house, and it was like 2 in 1. So the husband and wife said, we are struggling financially. Why don't we put this left side? We don't even sleep there. So why don't we put the left side of the house, which is a 2-bedroom house, a living room, a kitchen, and a bathroom and a backyard? Why don't we put it up for Airbnb? We call it service accommodation. So people who are on holidays in the UK or around here, in case they don't want a hotel, they'll come to an Airbnb. Now, the advantage of an Airbnb over a hotel is that hotels cost more, Airbnbs cost cheaper, depending. The next thing, Airbnb can be what we call self-catering. Some people, when you go to a hotel, you have to go out to eat, and that's extra money, or you have to go to the restaurant in the hotel to go and eat, it's extra money. But Airbnb is like you're in your own house. So you can go and buy groceries and come and cook your own food, no wahala, right? So they put up that the other property on the left for Airbnb. Look at what she said. They said in less than 24 hours, they were so overbooked that they had to now close down. They have to now lock up the demand. They were shocked. They were thinking that, oh, Airbnb, maybe in 6 months' time, we get. The moment they put it on the Airbnb platform, okay, let me see if I can show you Airbnb platform. They said that they were totally overbooked. And now it has become a cash cow for them. Now, what are some of the things you need to do as an Airbnb? Don't forget, it's called service accommodation, which means that you must, it is by law, there are some things you must provide. So you must provide amenities like towels, like the way a hotel is. You must provide, what do you call it, toiletries, right? And you must provide basic things. So let me just see. Basic things, right? The only downside about Airbnb is that the management, right? The management, though their softwares is the management. But if you think there are softwares now that can manage it for you, okay, there are softwares that can manage it for you. If you think that you don't have the time to do it, or you can give it to an Airbnb management company. The only thing is that their fees are very high. So sometimes what some people do is that they include their children. If their children are well grown up, they can tell their children to, okay, this is the software. I want you to manage the software for us and report to us. So if you include your family, that is great. Okay. So these are examples of Airbnb anywhere in the world. Look at Dubai. Look at Dubai. Anywhere in the world, it has become a big business for people to do what? To get some extra money. You don't need to have a house, even one room. But of course, don't forget, if it's going to be one room, you are going to get a foreigner coming to stay in your house with you. If you can handle that, fine. So there are some people, what they do is that they go and get a mortgage, which I wouldn't recommend. And then the mortgage, they use it to do an Airbnb. And then they try and offset the mortgage with the Airbnb income. But I would not really recommend that. But if you think that you can find a way around it, that's really great. But look at it. Look at the money. Sometimes people can book like a whole month. A whole month. Look at it. Somebody charging for 2 nights, £106. Some 117 for 2 nights. If it's a room, some also do rooms. Look at room in Cape Town, £73 for 2 nights. Okay. Some also give the whole house. There are 2 types of Airbnb. One where you, the owner, you live in the property as well, and where also other one whereby it means that you, the landlord, or you, the owner, you are not present. And now they've even made it more secure. In the sense that they've got things whereby if you're not in the house, I think some of you have gone on holidays and you have enjoyed Airbnb where the landlord will put the key in a coded place. You enter, you use a scanner or you punch in some number, then that thing opens. You take the key out, you enter the property. When you finish and you are leaving, you put it back, you lock it, the landlord will come and get it. Then you must also provide cleaning. But the cleaning, it doesn't have to be too expensive. It could take only about probably 10% or 15% of your money. So let's look at the yield. Okay, so Airbnb is a short-term hospitality rental. And you can do it 2 ways. You can do Airbnb service accommodation, and you can do also holiday rental. So you can put it on the Airbnb website, or you can put it on what you call booking.com, right? So for booking.com is for holidays. So somebody's coming from holiday in the UK. They want a place to stay. They go to booking.com. They will see it there. They'll book it, and then they'll come and stay in there. And the good thing about it is that they pay upfront. So if the person is going to book the thing for 3 weeks, and if the room is £100 per night, you do the maths. Maybe out of that money, all you need to buy is towels, soaps, shampoo, and paste about. Sometimes they even deduct the £10. I think it's £10 per day or so for the cleaner. That's nothing basically for the cleaner. Okay, and then of course there are also other things you need to put in place so that people don't mess your house up. So you have to put some rules. If the person they also allow you to put some deposit for damages. So if the person who came to stay there trash the place, you've got a deposit in there to take that money to pay for, and you are safe. So it is very, very secure. It's very, very secure. So let me leave it here. There's still more. There's still more. There's still more. We've not even scratched the surface. But ladies and gentlemen, I present you, when it comes to the area of residential property, some of the ways to generate cash flow. And all these three that I've mentioned, rent to rent, lease options, Airbnb, they require very low capital. Very low capital. You don't need to put huge sums of money in it. And ministries like our ministry can own some of them. I mean, when we move into that, Revealing Christ International Ministry can own some of these things to generate cash. And then it just grows by itself. And I always say that if you're a minister of the gospel and you have a ministry, property is the best business for any minister, because it frees you to concentrate on it. So imagine if this ministry had got these kind of properties, it's there, it's paying rent every time. I don't need to be there. Nobody needs to be there. I can focus on studying the word. That is how Winners Chapel, Oyedepo, was able to scale. He bought a property, then he bought more. The rents from the property is what he used to finance the gospel. That's the same thing that Redeemed also they did. They did the same strategy. So they don't depend on the offering. They depended on these cash flow generators. And that's why they're able to build a lot of ministries all over the world very, very, very fast and buy buildings just easy. A lot of churches don't know this. It's just one way. They're only waiting on only offering. That's what I always say this. If you're going to wait on offering, you will wait forever. If you're going to wait on offering for a ministry to move, oh my days. It will take you 2076 before you get anywhere. You can't get anywhere. But when you have these things in place, you can get printing press. You can print books easily. You can move evangelism faster. You can get stations faster, radio stations faster, podcasts faster. Can you say you can read translations? You can read France. You can read French-speaking countries, Spanish-speaking countries, because the cash flow is there. We can train people faster. The cash flow is there. This is our target, and we shall continue tomorrow in Jesus' name. Amen. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Nice.